10 people, mostly students, were killed when a teenage classmate armed with a shotgun and a revolver opened fire in a Texas high school Friday, the latest deadly school shooting to hit the U.S. Now, the gunman arrested on murder charges was identified as Demetrius Pagurtsis, a 17-year-old junior at Santa Fe High School. He is being held on capital murder charges, meaning he could face the death penalty. Governor Greg Abbott said 10 people died and another 10 were wounded in one of the most heinous attacks that, quote, we've ever seen in the history of Texas schools.
We come together today as we deal with one of the most heinous attacks that we've ever seen in the history of Texas schools. It's impossible to describe the magnitude of the evil of someone who would attack innocent children in a school.
The Houston Chronicle said Pagurtsis also threw pipe bombs into a classroom at the start of the school day, but with gun reform a divisive issue in the United States, Abbott focused on the need to better address mental health concerns and to arm schools rather than call for limits on the proliferation of weapons.
It appears that these explosive devices were made by the shooter. Cannot solidly confirm that yet, but there's no reason to suspect that any other person other than the shooter made those devices.
Abbott said the gunman apparently carried out the attack with a shotgun and a .38 revolver that were legally owned by his father.
There are two weapons. One was a shotgun and the other is a .38 revolver. Neither of these weapons were owned or legally possessed by the shooter. It's my information that both of these weapons were obtained by the shooter from his father. It's my information at this time that the father legally owned these weapons. I have no information at this time whether or not the father was aware that his son had taken these weapons from the father.
Abbott said searches were being conducted at 2 residences and explosive devices had been found, including a CO2 device and a Molotov cocktail. He said journal entries by the gunman suggested he wanted to commit suicide, but he gave himself up. Abbott said there were no warning signs about the suspect, who had no criminal history, although he did post a picture on his Facebook page of a t-shirt with the words "Born to Kill" on it.
Unlike Parkland, unlike Sutherland Springs, there were not those types of warning signs. We have what are often categorized as red flag warnings. And here, the red flag warnings were either non-existent or very imperceptible.
Law enforcement authorities were questioning 2 people of interest, according to the governor. One may have certain information, he said, and the other had some suspicious reactions. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said most victims were students. Area hospital said 2 victims were in critical condition. One of the 2 wounded was a police officer, John Barnes, who engaged the gunman and was shot in the elbow. Cuba began 2 days of national mourning for victims of the crash of a State Airways plane that killed all but 3 of its 110 passengers and crew. President Miguel Diaz-Canel said an investigation was underway into Friday's crash of the nearly 40-year-old Boeing 737 leased to the national carrier Cubana de Aviacion by a Mexican company. 3 women pulled alive from the mangled wreckage are the only known survivors. The Boeing crashed shortly after taking off from Jose Marti Airport, coming down in a field near the airport and sending a thick column of acrid smoke into the air. The mourning period is to last from 6 a.m. local time Saturday to midnight on Sunday. The Communist Party leader and former President Raul Castro said flags are to be flown at half-mast throughout the country. The plane was on an internal flight from Havana to the eastern city of Holguin. Most of the passengers were Cubans, with 5 foreigners, including 2 Argentines among them. The plane carrying 104 passengers was almost completely destroyed in the crash and subsequent fire. Firefighters raced to the scene, put out the blaze along with the fleet of ambulances to assist any survivors. What appeared to be one of the wings of the plane was wedged among scorched tree trunks, but the main fuselage was almost entirely destroyed. Built in 1979, the plane was leased from a small Mexican company, Global Air, also known as Aerolíneas da Moch. Mexico said it was sending 2 civil aviation specialists to help in the investigation. The 6 crew members were Mexican nationals. All right, China has for the first time landed several bombers on an island in the disputed South China Sea, a move that could provoke renewed tensions between countries bordering the strategically vital maritime region. Several bombers of various types, including long-range, nuclear strike-capable H-6K, carried out landing and takeoff drills at an unidentified island airfield after carrying out simulated strike training on targets at sea, according to the Chinese Air Force in a statement. Wang Mingliang, a defense expert, cited in the statement that the takeoff and landing exercises on islands in the South China Sea will help the Air Force strengthen its combat capability to deal with maritime security threats. Washington warned that Beijing would face unspecified consequences over its militarization of the South China Sea and said it had raised the issue with China. The South China Sea issue has been brewing for years, with China, the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam making competing claims in waters with vital global shipping routes and what are believed to be significant oil and natural gas deposits. China has engaged in years of land reclamation efforts on reefs it controls in the region and built both civilian and military facilities in the contested area. Chinese military facilities include air bases, radar and communication systems, naval facilities, and defensive weaponry, including landing strips able to accommodate military planes. In other news, scandal-tainted former Malaysian leader Najib Razak has been summoned to appear before the country's anti-corruption authorities next week as part of an anti-graft investigations. Najib, 64, unexpectedly lost a May 9 election to a political coalition that had focused on allegations that he oversaw the looting of billions of dollars from Sovereign Wealth Fund 1MDB in a vast conspiracy of fraud and money laundering stretching around the world. Najib was already barred from leaving Malaysia in the wake of the election, and police seized large amounts of cash, jewels, and luxury items from his home and other sites last week. State-run Bernama News Agency said Najib had been ordered to appear before the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission next Tuesday. SRC International was a subsidiary of 1MDB before being placed directly under the Finance Ministry in 2012. Najib was both Prime Minister and Finance Minister at the time. Hundreds of millions of dollars linked to SRC are alleged to have gone missing in just one component of the wide-ranging 1MDB affair. 92-year-old former Premier Mahathir Mohamad, expressing disgust over the scandal, came out of retirement to lead a diverse alliance of parties to a stunning electoral victory on May 9. Mahathir has vowed to fully investigate the 1MDB scandal.
In a country where safe driving and road discipline are strictly implemented, accidents are inevitable as 2 separate vehicular accidents injured 42 motorists in southwest and northeast Japan Saturday morning. The front of a private car and a Nishi-Tetsu line bus were entirely wrecked when they collided head-to-head after the car slightly swerved to the opposite side of the lane on northern Route 385, injuring 6 passengers on a national highway in Nakagawa, a town in Fukuoka Prefecture, just before 6 in the morning. According to the police, the 19-year-old car driver was seriously injured, while those 5 on board the bus, including the driver, suffered minor injuries. The bus was on its way to Fukuoka Tower via Tenjin in Fukuoka City from the Nakagawa branch office. The police are still investigating the reason for the car driver's sudden protrusion on the opposite lane on a straight road with 2 lanes on each side. Meanwhile, at 9:30 in the morning, a bus in Oirase, Aomori Prefecture hit the road's guardrail and turned over at the edge of the field, injuring 35 students, 2 adults, and the driver on board. The passengers were composed of high school soccer club players with their teachers from Kosei Gakuen High School in Hachinohe. Hospital officials declared all injuries minor, mostly on the head and leg, but none were serious. According to police, there was no problem with the visibility at the time of the accident and believed the bus was trying to avoid another vehicle coming from the opposite direction on a narrow rural road. A local resident told the media similar other accidents took place in the same spot. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Tyropili Lu for Eagle News International, and I am 1 with 25.
Happy 50th anniversary, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. God bless you and more power.
Japanese lawmakers hope to create a big change in the country's political system as Diet or Kokai passed a gender equality bill that encourages female candidates to run for elections and take part in politics. The law indicated equality in the number of male and female candidates, encouraging to set targets for gender parity as much as possible. However imperative the decision is, as it answers to the country's labor shortage problem, the law does not indicate any sanction whenever the parties could not oblige to do so. Similarly, no incentives will be granted for encouragement. In response to this, one commentator said there is no point in passing the law, and it is plainly lip service, while another also said if it is wrong to set quotas based on race, gender, etc. in other countries, why is it justifiable in Japan? Despite having no consequences for non-compliance, the law proposed by a cross-party group of lawmakers has confronted various oppositions during the drafting process. One of the key persons in drafting the bill is Internal Affairs Minister Seiko Noda, who hopes that women would have more courage to run for elections. In April next year, Japan will hold the regional election with the upper house election in July. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe hopes to address the problem on labor shortage by encouraging women to join in the workforce. However, currently, there are only 47 female members of the lower house against the 465 male members. According to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, with a 10.1 ratio, this puts Japan below Myanmar and Gambia in terms of female government representation. According to the latest Global Gender Gap report from the World Economic Forum, Japan ranked 114th, the last among the G7 countries in the world. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Dennis Liu for Eagle News International, and I am 1 with 25.
Popular retail warehouse club, whose member pay for an annual fee to shop, is facing criticism for its private brand, the Kirkland signature. Foreign substances were found again in its products, the fourth time this year.
Costco under fire after plastics found again in PV products. Costco Wholesale, a popular warehouse club where members pay an annual fee to shop, is facing criticism for its private brand Kirkland signature. Foreign substances were once again found in its products for the fourth time this year. On Thursday, the South Korea Ministry of Food and Drug Safety stated that a 40mm long plastic piece was found inside a Kirkland signature Jelly Belly jelly beans, and Kirkland signature protein bar contained a 13mm long plastic vinyl sheet. Early this year, strands of hair were found in Kirkland's shrimp dim sum product and mold in Messana grated Parmesan cheese. A chunk of cornstarch was also found in Haribo Gold Baron Gummy Bears product sold by Costco. Last year, plastic pieces were found in its Kirkland signature pork strip and Kirkland signature fry vegetable blend. An insect was also found in Grove Only fresh orange juice. Costco Korea has received a corrective order from the ministry for the recent incident.
South Korea has received a corrective order from the ministry for this recent incident. This is Noli Maynor Fuel, EBC correspondent, South Korea, and I am 1 with 25.
On May 13, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, in cooperation with the Seoul Metropolitan Government, announced that they will launch a Cooperative Intelligent Transport System, or CITS, in downtown Seoul. On May 13, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, in cooperation with the Seoul Metropolitan Government, announced that it would build a Cooperative Intelligent Transportation System, or CITS, in downtown Seoul. The venue of the construction will be in Digital Media City, or DMC, in Sangnam-dong, and will serve as a test bed for the driverless buses. The Seoul Metropolitan City Government plans to establish the world's first 5G driverless vehicle network and to use next-generation technology that can greatly reduce traffic accidents by sending large amounts of information in less than 0.1 seconds. The wireless land-based vehicle communications technology created by the American Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or WAVE, and the cellular V2X network commercialized worldwide by global telecommunications standards development organizations are both in the process of building vehicle networks. This system can report real-time information about traffic situations and dangers from the infrastructure itself and from other automobiles, enabling safer autonomous driving. After the test, the Seoul Metropolitan City plans to commercialize its self-driving bus system in selected regions where public transportation is insufficient. The bus will start from Digital Media City Station, subway line number 6, and pass remain stops in Sangnam DMC 2 or 3 times in a day. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said once the conditions for autonomous cooperative driving have been established in the city center of Seoul, autonomous navigation technology will be able to make a leap forward. This is the Digital Media City Station Subway Line 6. This will be the first stop of the driverless bus starting next year. It will run across stations in Sangnam DMC. I am Christine Jiwon Uy, your EBC correspondent from South Korea, and I am 1 with 25.
Welcome to the garden. A world that recaptures the value of life, creating your moments, kindling your passion, worth reliving over and over. This is your world, your life, your garden.
Prince Harry and his bride, Meghan Markle, is now known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex after their wedding. This was announced by the Buckingham Palace just hours before the ceremony. Now, a dukedom is the highest rank in the British peerage. It is traditional to give royal sons titles reflecting the 3 historic realms, England, Scotland, and Ireland, that made up the United Kingdom. Now, hours before his wedding in 2011, Prince William, Harry's brother and best man, became the Duke of Cambridge, Earl of Strathearn, and Baron Carrickfergus. Sussex is a historic county on the southeast English coast with a population of around 1.6 million. Now, the name derives from the South Saxons. It means main city is the hip seaside resort city of Brighton. It was the scene of the Battle of Hastings and the 1066 Norman invasion of England that brought William the Conqueror to the throne. And this was the scene right after the wedding, the procession after right after the wedding. Helicopters were rushed in to rescue 4 trapped residents after lava flowing from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano isolated the cluster of homes, according to local officials. This is a day after the volcano erupted and shot a huge plume of ash miles into the sky. Hawaii County Mayor Harry Kim wrote on Twitter that fast-moving lava from Fissure 20 has crossed Pohiki Road near Malamaki Place near the Puna Forest Reserve. The lava is, quote, isolating Apex 40 homes in area, he wrote, adding that 4 people were safely evacuated by Hawaii County and National Guard helicopters. He added that if you are still in the area, stay in safe place, await official instructions. The USGS, or the U.S. Geological Survey, which monitors volcanoes and earthquakes worldwide, said via Twitter that, quote, fast-moving lava flow from Fissure 20 advancing at 300 to 400 yards per hour. It added that, quote, poor air quality from elevated gas emissions and smoke from burning vegetation contributing to poor air quality in Lower Puna. Kilauea is the world's most active volcano and one of 5 on Hawaii's Big Island.
A new case of Ebola outbreak in Equator Province has been confirmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC. To help contain the spread of the disease, UNICEF is mobilizing its teams. A team with 2 doctors, a specialist in water, sanitation and hygiene, as well as a specialist in community communication, is assessing the extent of the epidemic. UNICEF is working with the government and the World Health Organization to respond to this outbreak located more than 100 kilometers south of the provincial capital of Bandaka. Good coordination and communication between parties involved are crucial to effectively respond to the epidemic.
The big change is that 11 cases from Bikoro have tested positive, have now been confirmed positive. So these cases now became confirmed from being suspect. So we have 45 cases of Ebola, 14 confirmed, 10 suspects, and 21 probable.
I'm just back from a fact-finding mission in Bikoro, where the epicenter of the Ebola epidemic is, in DRC, and I saw that there's a lot to be done. We are working with the government, WHO, and other partners in order to bring the situation up to speed. UNICEF's role is the role that we play all the time, in the sense that we take care of water and sanitation. We will have to bring that behavior back in washing hands with chlorine, in taking temperature in schools, in public places, in health centers, everywhere basically. We are also working on helping wherever is needed in terms of the care facilities, because that is something which is very much in need to be done. And then, of course, all the community work. I mean, we have to convince the people to fight Ebola.
To prevent the spread of the disease, focus is on communication activities in the communities, on water supply, hygiene, and sanitation. UNICEF has already sent a total of 45 kilograms of chlorine, 5 sprays, 50 kilograms of soap, and 28,000 water purification tablets to the area, as well as 600 posters and 6,000 leaflets to educate affected communities. From Geneva, Switzerland, this is Christine Benedicto reporting for Eagle News.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization said the Ebola outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo can be brought under control.
The immediate response by the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo, of WHO and other partners, including enhancing surveillance, establishing case management facilities, deploying mobile laboratories, engaging community leaders, setting up an air bridge, etc., provides a strong reason to believe that this situation can be brought under control. The Emergency Committee advised the Director General that the Democratic Republic of Congo government, WHO, and partners should remain engaged in vigorous response, because without that, the situation is likely to deteriorate significantly.
And by the way, the Ebola vaccine has arrived in Kinshasa on Wednesday, 4,000 doses. The second tranche is arriving today, and we'll be able to commence vaccination as early as Monday of next week.
What we're really sure about is we would like to fight hard and fight well at all levels, especially that's, I think, what I would like to stress: headquarters, region, and country office, and with all partners. I think that will really help.
Ebola is notorious for its high fatality rate and extreme symptoms, which can include internal and external bleeding. The current outbreak, the 9th to hit the DRC since Ebola was identified in 1976, involves the same strain of the virus that struck 3 West African countries in 2013 to 15 and sparked an international panic. It went on to kill more than 11,300 people in the deadliest ever Ebola epidemic. The WHO was fiercely criticized over its handling of the epidemic and has pledged to improve its emergency response. There's no licensed drug to treat or prevent Ebola, although an experimental vaccine arrived in the DRC on Wednesday and has been cleared for use by the Kinshasa government.
Entrance tickets for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics opening ceremony could cost as much as 288,000 yen. That's about $2,600, with the Paralympics at 144,100 yen, or around $1,300 for one person. During a ticket sales strategy meeting on Tuesday, organizers proposed the said amount as well as for other ceremonies and matches during the games, but without yet indicating a specific ceiling after several members suggested a wider range of ticket fees to accommodate the various economic needs of customers. The said maximum amount was partly based on the ticket fees to the 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics in London, with the cost of the Paralympic ceremony set higher than its counterpart for the 2016 Rio Games to increase the reputation of the event designed for athletes with special needs. However, according to Sadahiko Kano, who presided the ticketing strategy panel, they could not come up with a conclusion yet, saying, "We discussed about creating a bigger gap in pricing." Meeting Vice Chairman Hiroshi Kubo also said this idea is to create expensive tickets so that inexpensive tickets will also be available. Significantly, there will be priced tickets available for the higher class groups, and at the same time, cheap prices ranging from 1,000 to 2,020 yen will be provided for elementary students and families to take part in the event. According to sources related to the matter, admission fees for the Olympic events are said to start at 2,000 yen, with Paralympic events starting at 1,000 yen. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Tyra Pilyulu for Eagle News International, and I am 1 with 25.
Kapag sumasapit na ang buwan ng Abril hanggang kalahatian ng buwan ng Hunyo, ay naitatala ang pinakamaiinit na temperatura sa ating bansa. Ito ay nakababahala sapagkat ang sobrang init ng araw ay nakapagdudulot ng sakit sa katawan ng isang tao. Isa na rito ang tinatawag na heat tetany. Ang heat tetany ay isang medical condition na dulot ng matinding sikat ng araw. Tinatamaan